Hello there, my name is Michael Fudge, and today I'd like to demonstrate how you can connect to your lab server. First, what is a lab server? Every student is going to get their own server. We'll use this server to conduct labs and complete our assignments in the course. This server consists of a VMware vSphere virtual machine running Windows 7 and SQL Server Developer Edition. And it also includes all the databases and data that you'll need to do the labs for the course. To connect to the virtual machine, you'll need the vSphere client. So there's three options for the vSphere client. The first option is if you're here in the iSchool, you can walk into any one of our computer labs, log in with your NetID and password, and you'll see that the vSphere client appears in the Start menu. If you're doing this from home or you want to do it on your own computer, then you'll need to install the vSphere client. There's only a version for Windows, so you can't, if you have a Macintosh, this isn't an option for you. I'm going to quickly demonstrate where you can get the vSphere client. Okay, if you want to download and install the vSphere client on your own computer, the first thing you need to do is find it. The best place to locate it is on the ITEL server itself. So if you go to itelv.ischool.syr.edu and you press enter, you'll load the main ITEL page. Now you're probably going to get this certificate error. This is because it's an unsigned certificate, so just hit the add exception button and confirm security exception. When you see the main landing page, there's a link here that says download vSphere client. Just click on that. Then save the file, find some place to save it. After the file downloads, you just launch the installer, it walks you through it, you hit next a couple of times and finish, and you're ready to go. You need administrator rights to install vSphere on your own computer. There's certain situations where you may not be able to install vSphere client on the computer. For example, you're not an administrator, or maybe you don't have a Windows computer. That's why we have this third option, Remote Lab and Remote Desktop. What we've done here is we've taken some computers, we run them as virtual machines, and they have the same software that you would find in the computer labs in the iSchool. And you can access these computers through Remote Desktop with some caveats. What we don't let you do is just directly access any computer you want. You have to go through a web portal in which you are assigned a particular Remote Desktop computer that you can use for up to 4 hours. After 4 hours is over, you have to go back to the web portal and then request another Remote Desktop computer. Let me demonstrate that now for you in case you want to use this option. The nice thing about option 3 is that you don't need to install anything on your computer. As long as you have Remote Desktop, you're ready to go. You can get Remote Desktop for the Mac, you can get Remote Desktop for Linux, you can get Remote Desktop as pre-installed on Windows machines. So you should have everything you need to rock and roll for this option. And again, there's more than just the vSphere client in option 3. There's every single application that we have in the iSchool computer labs is available through Remote Lab. The best way to get started with Remote Lab is to go to the iSchool homepage. From ischool.syr.edu, in the upper right corner, you'll see that there's a login link. I'm going to click on that link now. It's going to ask me to log in with my NetID and password, which I will do. From here, I'll be presented with a list of options. This is my iSchool dashboard. There's a lot of things I can do from here, but under IT Services, you'll see that it says Remote Lab. I'm going to click on Remote Lab. Then I'm going to quickly read these terms. This is pretty much just explains how it works and what the limitations are of Remote Lab. One important thing to notice is that if you sit idle for 4 hours, it will log you out, and you will have to come back into the web portal to be assigned a new Remote Lab desktop computer. I just want to reiterate, the RDP file, the Remote Lab desktop connection file, it's going to give me, when I click this button, I can only use this for a limited amount of time. After the expiration date, I need to come back here and get another one. The beauty of it, though, is everything that you do on the computer, if you save it, gets saved with your user profile, which means when you do log into a physical lab or you log into another copy of a Remote Lab, your file should still be there. As long as you save your things to your home directory, your H drive, do not save anything to the C drive or local disk, because the local disk gets reset when your remote lab session expires. Kind of gives everybody a clean slate when they first connect in. So the important thing to do when you're saving your work is put it on the H drive or the home directory. This is the default location for all the applications, so this shouldn't really be an issue. Okay, I'm going to hit here, I'm going to click here, and it's going to ask me to download a connection file, which I will just gladly open up with remote desktop. It's similar procedure on a Mac. Since I clicked open, you now see this screen. I can just click connect here. Next is asking me to enter my NetID password. Here's an interesting tip as well. I requested this remote desktop file, so it's been assigned to my NetID MAFudge. I cannot take this file and give it to somebody else. It was assigned to me. So if I go in here and change this username to somebody else, it will not let me log in. I'll get to a login screen, and then it will reject me with an error message that says you were not the person that was issued this file. So bottom line is, you have to be issued the RDP file through the web service. The RDP file is tailored exactly to you and has a time limit. This is how we prevent people from staying on remote lab forever and using it as their own personal workstation. I'm going to put in my password here now, and now it's connecting me to the remote lab. At this point, it's the equivalent of logging in. Okay, now that it's done running the rigor of startup scripts and loading my profile, you can see that I am at a desktop. I can click on this start button down here. I could put in vSphere, and there's the vSphere client. So again, I want to reiterate, none of this is running on my computer. I am remotely connected to this computer IST722-H17 up here. See, this is my computer up here where it says Firefox, and then this is just a remote connection. So this eliminates the need for me to install all this client software that I might need to do any schoolwork. So that sums up the three options for accessing the vSphere client. Number one, you can use one of the computers in the iSchool computer labs. If that's not an option for you, you can install the vSphere client on your own Windows computer by going to itelv.ischool.syr.edu and then clicking on the download link. If you have a Macintosh or you have a window where you cannot control the software which is installed on it, you can use the remote lab and remote desktop option number 3, which I just demonstrated. Next, I'd like to give you a demo of how to connect to your lab server now that you have vSphere installed. I'll show you what you need to enter into the vSphere client to log in, and then where to find your virtual machine and how to log into your virtual machine. Okay, so here I am. I've launched vSphere and my login box is up. The first thing I need to do is put in the right address. It's itelv iSchool.syr.edu. Then I put in my NetID and password. Click the login button. If you get the security warning, this is again because we're using an unsigned certificate, just hit ignore. After a bit, you'll see the main ITEL screen. ITEL is the name of the computer lab which provides or serves up virtual machines. So the first thing you want to do is switch yourself to the VM view. Just go to View, Inventory, VMs and Templates. And you should be able to browse the folders, and you can see here's our class up here. And since I'm your teacher, I can see everybody's virtual machines. But if I go down here under Professors, I should be able to find my virtual machine in here. There it is. When I click on it, I can see some information about the virtual machine, how much memory it has, how many CPUs, and most importantly, I should be able to pop out a console. If I right-click on the virtual machine, you can see I could power it on, I could power it off, I could suspend it, reset it. Most important thing I could do is open up a console. This gets me access to the actual user interface. There you go. There's my Windows 7 desktop, and then I can log in. If you forget what your password is, you just press enter and it'll tell you what the password is. In this case, it's SU44 orange exclamation mark. It's going to vary from class to class. And now I've logged in and here's my desktop. And on my desktop, you'll see that I've got SQL Server 2012 and Management Studio and all the goods that I need. One thing I want you to note is that this gets a little confusing because, I am running on my computer a remote connection up here that I'm wiggling around with my mouse into a piece of client software which is letting me access a virtual machine. So you can see I've got a couple layers of abstraction going on here. This is important because we don't like to have to burden the students with having to install the software and prerequisites on their computers. It's just much easier to have them connect into the environment. This way every student has the same thing. Well, now I challenge you to try this on your own. Make sure that you can use the vSphere client to log in and connect to your virtual machine, and also make sure that you can log into your virtual machine. If you have any issues or anything comes up, feel free to post a question in the question section of Blackboard, and I'll make sure to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much. Have a good day.